Hello, this is Nicole Chambers. Sorry about all of this. Now I'm at school because this is the only time I can be without my babies to get this done. And now my school computer will not recognize a microphone when I plug it into the outlet. So I'm just over it. I'm moving on. I'm going to do this really annoying YouTube video, and I'm really sorry about this. This is the only way that I can just get this done and move on. So I did the project on Who We Are About to, which we've all read, which is good. So the novel was first published in multiple versions in the magazine Galaxy. I think it was just 2 versions in 1976. After that, it moved into publication in 1977. The novel, of course, is considered new wave science fiction. It has these kind of new ideas that it brings to the table about feminism, about choice, and all those kinds of ideas that are becoming new to this period of time. So moving on here. Here is the first cover art that I want to talk about. I don't know why I moved it twice. Okay, I must have pressed the button. Sorry. Here's the first cover that I want to talk about. So I broke these into 2 sections. I broke them into image and to color. So first, that's what I felt like was the main things that popped out, right? Here's the image and here are some colors. So the image, of course, as you can see, is of a woman wearing a bikini. She's driving a spacecraft. And some of the questions that people ask is, does this represent a character? Potentially represents a character. It could represent Cassie. A lot of people say that it represents a image, a reference that maybe it sounds like her. Potentially it represents the main character. Overall, I think that the female just being the center, wearing a bikini, it just is a good representation of the overall theme that I'm going to talk about in just a second. So like I said, what's the significance of a half-naked woman on the cover of this? Okay, so this, of course, is coming from the New Wave era where gender equality is a hot topic. So this work now, of course, is considered a feminist text, and the novel focuses on when a woman really has the right to make changes to her own body. So one thing that I really felt like stuck out to me was towards the end, whenever we have the narrator go off on her own and decide, I'm going to choose when I'm going to die. I'm going to starve myself. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be forced to have babies when I don't want to. And I feel like all of that is really just obviously a really strong indication of, here's the theme, here's what's going on, right? Women should have the right to choose what's going on with their body. These are all really new wave ideas, especially in this time frame. So I also wanted to kind of point out one thing that I mentioned in my response that I really felt like this signifies kind of our current time frame is whenever LB comes into the woman, the narrator, and she's obviously having some hallucinations about him being there. And she says, I had to kill them, on page 104. She says, I had to kill them. They were going to force me to have babies. They were going to rape me. And here she's just trying to say, this is why I had to murder him. And then he comes back in retortion and says, narrator, whatever your name is, you actually just didn't like them. That's why you felt the need to murder them. And she felt, no, I was protecting my body. I was protecting my sense of self. And I made this connection to just like this idea of like kind of like this Me Too, like rape culture kind of movement that's even going on in our world right now, where women are being told, it doesn't matter. You should have worn something different or done something different to justify the action or to protect yourself, when really there's nothing you really can do. And she felt like in that moment like she had to kill them to survive, even though it's all sort of twisted because she knew overall that she was going to make the choice to kill herself, but she felt like she had to stand up for the right for her to choose what was going to happen to her own body. So with the woman being the center of the image, obviously that theme is really implied and kind of present all the way through this text, which is really interesting because you see that person obviously clearly in control, like I'm a woman, I'm wearing a bikini, and I'm going to sit on the spacecraft and I'm going to drive it. So I feel like all that kind of signifies that. So I feel like that really represents the text and of this time. We also have this idea of color. So we're seeing red, yellow, and orange, right? So red is generally shown as this strong emotion, love, anger, danger, courage, strength, and even aggression. We see a lot of aggression in the text, especially towards the beginning when things are starting to shift and they kind of beat each other up, of course, with the murders. And then yellow, fresh energy, success, confidence, even cowardice. This really represents the narrator in general, right? So she's got fresh energy and some success and even some confidence in the sense when she goes away from the group, but at the same time, they consider her a coward, right? Because she's like not doing what she's supposed to do and she's not stepping out and being this baby kind of creator that they want her there to be. And then we also have orange, which is warmth, excitement, enthusiasm, and even self-indulgence, which could be what the narrator, right? She's indulging in her own feelings and kind of what they all feel like she's not helping the good of the cause. She's just doing whatever she wants to do. And I found that already to be really interesting. So moving on then to the next image. Okay, the next cover that I want to talk about is 2005. This is obviously the cover of our text. I don't know, this must still be on a timer, sorry about that. Okay, so the image here is of mushroom landscapes and of planets. It's two-tiered, so you know because you have the book, but here's tier 1, so it's kind of out, and then here's tier 2, where it's definitely zoomed in. And of course we're talking about blue, the color of water, sea meaning peace and tranquility. We have black, violet, gray, so the same kind of thing is going on here. Just with these image implications, the landscape here shows what the artist calls mushrooms. However, when you look closer, it can be seen maybe as an alternate world or location. What is interesting about this image is that it is two-tiered. So the first tier is a larger view of the landscape, while the image below is a close-up. If you look closer on the mushroom, these images do look a little bit more like planets, right? So when you start to look closer, we're seeing more. I think that also shows more about the text. This is more than just, you know, here's this crazy science fiction story about this woman who goes nuts, right? Now when we look closer, we're able to see actually she's trying to say something about a woman's right to choose and things like that. So the layers of the main character, I think, are really depicted through these two layers of this. So the color differences from the previous cover, I think, are really interesting, because it gives the text an entirely new feel. These darker blue tones represent at first perhaps peace and tranquility that the narrator seeks, and also that is given to the other characters because they are away from their original lives. However, the black hues represent the mystery of the surrounding. This color psychology, this is what I forgot to mention in the second recording, is that all this color psychology is really interesting to me because I don't really do much with the color. I'm an English person. I don't do art, I don't do color analysis, but I feel like I'm generally speaking, I have it in the past, but this all is really interesting to me. So, anyway, these, the color psychology says that black implies that there's a barrier, because it's interesting because the narrator is the barrier to the continuation of society. So we have all these colors, which I all think really implicate the themes and the characters, those kind of things. So some of the other tones, violet and gray, also show elements of the text as well. The narrator is very self-aware by making the choice to starve herself. The narrator wants control of her own body, her own choices. Even though gray represents compromise, in this case it represents the narrator's unwillingness to compromise. However, the gray does represent the narrator's attached and gloom and doom attitude. So overall, these two covers are vastly different. The first represents that harsher, more dominant theme of the text, while the second cover represents the novel is really about feminism and other societal implications. However, I think even though that first text is really like traditional science fiction, right? It's like really warm tones. We've got this like cool technology in the front. We have this woman in a bikini, like half naked right in the beginning. And this is more modern take on science fiction, right? People are like, oh yeah, look, it looks more science fiction-y. Looks like modern, right? Looks like we can actually read this and understand it, versus the other ones like, oh, it's probably about aliens and weird stuff. So anyway, I also think these cover changes also depict the change in the time too. So that, I think, is all I have to say. Hopefully this recording works. Hopefully. Thank you for listening. Here's my Works Cited page. This is the end.